Evening, welcome back to our learning in Hishtapchut HaNefesh. We're Rosh Chodesh Tammuz right now, and we're 16th of June, Tafshin Ayin Hey. We're learning, we're holding in the middle of chapter 71, Ayin Aleph, in Hishtapchut HaNefesh. We've been about halfway through, just a little bit more than halfway through. Look at his kashrus first, and Mikasher Tzmi. That's me, but Limu Torah Zulu, Kol Tzadikim Amatim, Shudoim, Kol Tzadikim Amatim, Shofnei Far, Kedoshim Asher V'tzei Mechad Leveinu, Kadosh Tzadik Yisod Olam, Nachal Nereim V'Kol Chotzma, Rebbe Nachman, Fegin Nachman, Kusam Yagin Le'im Kol Yisrael. Amen. May it be your will, Rebbeinu Shalom, that in the merit of this learning you should send healing, complete healing and speedy healing to all the people who need healing, including Chaya Bat Be'at, Yilrecha Bat Sarah, Henya, Rata Baditza Ratza, Yosef Ben Genya, and all the other people that are needing healing in Am Yisrael for the HaNefesh for the Guf. And also people that anybody needs Yeshua, so please Hashem, Jonathan Pollard, Shalom Abashkin, people imprisoned. Oh, Rebbe Shalom, enough. Please bring Yeshua, Gula Shlema to all of us. Okay, so we're going to continue where we were. We're talking about the idea of that there's a need in order to experience sweetness of prayer. We have to be to the degree that we've rectified the sexual covenant, and to the degree that we're connected to the true tzaddikim, we're able to taste the sweetness in our prayer. We also have learned that there are powers in the world, and these powers of negativity can come into other people that will denigrate and mock and try to distract people from prayer. And this comes upon a person again to the degree of their own purity, their own rectification, the polishing they've done for themselves of their traits, and again the connection with the tzaddikim. We're talking about the idea that the idea of foreign thoughts coming into the head, and during prayer especially, that these thoughts attack us and try to confuse us, and that these thoughts are nothing more than information moving through. We don't have to pay attention to them at all. We don't have to take them personally. You might think, some people might think that, I'm having all these negative, distracting thoughts. What kind of Jew am I? What kind of person? How serious must I be for Hashem that I can't even keep my thoughts on what I'm trying to say? But no, we have to understand that it's specifically because prayer is so powerful and holy that it attracts all sorts of other side forces, and the main thing is to ignore them. The main thing is not to pay attention, but to keep focusing on the prayer and to keep going. And he talks about the idea that these forces stand like opposing armies, and like a powerful warrior just does not stop and doesn't let them get to him, but he keeps going, and he swings his sword and cuts off limbs and destroys the enemy. So too, that when a person just continues in their prayer and doesn't pay attention, then they will be able to destroy the enemy, the opposing forces, the forces of darkness that try to stop us from our connection with our Creator. So then he goes on and says, "Ayin Belikutei Halachos," that which is going to see in Rebbe Nachman's Magnum Opus Likutei Halachos, that he says that this is this whole aspect of being victorious and a warrior, to continue to pray despite all the distractions, just to continue forward. He said this is the aspect of the Omer Sorim, the barley offering that's brought for the 49 days from the second day of Pesach until Shavuot. And so that after coming out of Mitzrayim, after the Seder night, which is the commemoration of going out of Mitzrayim, that we count the days for the barley offering. Hainu ki haseorim shu ma'achal behema, meaning to say that the barley, which is considered animal food, and we've talked about this in other places before. Shubechinas koach medame, and the animal food has also the aspect of the power of the imagination. Now, when Rebbe Nachman talks about medame, we translate it as imagination, but the word literally means it's the one who makes something like something else. And the main thing we're talking about there is that what we really are thirsting for, every single one of us, is the feeling of connection and wholeness that comes with connection to the Creator. But what we do is we imagine, I'm going to get the satisfaction of that connection from this piece of apple pie. I'm going to get this satisfaction of this connection from being respected by other people. I'm going to get this satisfaction connected by having relationships and sexuality. I'm going to get this, etc. You get the idea that the koach medameh is the power that makes it seem to me like I'm going to get this divine connection from other things. And that's the power of, and that's the motivating pull, the motivation of animals. Animals are always looking to have this. That's all an animal does, is whatever feels like it's going to give it its pleasure, that's what it goes for. So he says that's the main aspect of the animal offering, of the barley offering. Shemesham kola bilbulim, that it's from that place of that the imagination, the confusing thoughts come in. V'chol ha'hir ho'im v'chol machshavot zarot, and it's this imagination that is the source, that is the power behind all these foreign thoughts that come in. Shem bechinas se'orois, moisri mochin, and they're the aspect of hair, because hair is extra. What do we need hair for? Hair is considered, and it's brought down in our tradition, that it's an aspect of the overflow of light. That hair, especially on the top of the head, is the aspect of motarot, of extras, of too much. And that's an animalistic type of thing. And the word se'ar, hair, is also the same letters as se'or, barley. So se'arot, and se'arot, hair, and se'orim, barley, is the same exact letter, same exact root. So there's a connection between this animalistic, the animal food, which represents the tendency of the animal to always want more, to never be satisfied, because it's always imagining that it's going to have a better satisfaction with this particular experience of food or whatever the animal is doing, right? So that's the aspect of extra, the extra light of mochin, extra brain light that comes down. Kulam hem b'bchinat omer u'midah. All of these types of things are the aspect of measurement, and omer is a measurement also. Midah is specifically means measurement, and an omer is a type of measurement. K'mo kli shemachzek is midah achas v'yosem mizeh efshar lichnos ba, like a vessel that holds a certain amount, and once it's achieved this amount, it's not going to hold anymore. No matter how much you pour into it, it's a vessel that can only hold a certain amount. K'mo chen hamoach. The brain is a well-known thing, that you can only have one thought at a time in the brain. And more than this, it's impossible to bring into the brain at one time. Absolutely impossible to have more than one thought at the same time. And that's where we see the aspect of se'orim, barley. The word se'or, again, is the same as the word for hair. Shehem hamachshavos, which is these, represent, when we said the motarot, the extra brain, these are the extra thoughts, the thoughts that are coming through that have nothing to do with what you're doing, which is praying. And this is what we do when we're counting the days of the Omer. That we're counting the days, and the days in this world contain the vitality of for each of us. Each day we have an amount of vitality that comes with the day, which is can be understood as when we go to sleep and we wake up, and there's a new, fresh vitality for us each day. So the days contain the aspects of the vitality. Because the entire existence of a person is within time, within days and time in general. Now the main vitality, the main life force is embodied in the spiritual power called chokhmah, which we translate as wisdom. That's the chokhmah shebemoach, the wisdom in the brain, as it says in Koheles, ha-chokhmah techayeh. Wisdom shall give vitality, shall cause life. Umesham kol hamachshavos. And so that's the place where it's in the wisdom of the brain that all the thoughts are, the power of thought itself is located. But when we get when we're having thoughts that are extraneous, outside of what we're focusing on, what we're doing, those are the extras. And so all these thoughts, the power of the brain, is the aspect of omer, because it has a certain amount, in other words, one thought, and that only one thought can fit in at a time. So that's the measurement of the brain. Therefore, after the exiting from Egypt, there's a need to bring this measurement offering, this omer offering of animal food, of se'orim, and to wave it, and to count the days of the Sphira from that day, the days we count each, and those of us who know about counting the omer, so each day we count days 1 to today's 2, Hayom Yom Shlishi Ba'omer, when we count the days and then the weeks. Because the main purification. Now, so what happens when we go out of Egypt? We're given a free gift. Hashem says, "Okay, I'm taking you out." But after that, we start counting the Omer on the second day. Why? Because even though Hashem gave us the free gift of coming out of Mitzrayim and giving us the entire light of exiting, and we're talking about Mitzrayim, translated Egypt, we're not just talking about the geographical location. We're talking about, for each one of us, what the aspect of Mitzrayim means, which is constricted consciousness. Mitzrayim means constriction. And when constricted consciousness is the inability to perceive Hashem in an absolute relationship in your life, when in the moment to know that it's all perfect and all good, to have the underlying sense of joy and peace that goes with that ability to hold that place, that inability to hold that place is called Mitzrayim. Shehi ervas haaretz pegam bris, which is the nakedness of the land, the blemish of the sexual covenant. Because as we've talked about last time, the power to be able to focus on Hashem is dependent on the purity of our maintaining our channels of mochin. The sexuality is a very, very high level of energy, of spiritual energy. That's why it has so many boundaries, so many guardings, different things that need to be made as a vessel to hold all that very amazing light. So if there's a blemish in that sexuality, then that light is actually being diverted to the other side forces, that their job is to create darkness and confusion. So therefore it's harder to maintain the awareness of Hashem in the time when a person has the blemish in their sexual covenant. So he says the main way, so we the fact that we were in Mitzrayim, we get this gift of being brought out, but afterwards we still have to make the rectification, because we were immersed in the impurity of Mitzrayim, of the constriction, and so there has to be a process of purification. And so this is what he's talking. So the purification, the main way of purification from the pollution of the constricted consciousness, is through purifying the thoughts, as is known. And that's brought Likutei Moharan. Rebbe Nachman talks about this. And so through this process of the counting of the Omer, and the bringing of the Omer, and the connection, and today obviously we don't have the actual Omer offering, we're not offering, so we talk about it. And we know that the actual talking and saying the verses has the power has the ability, in the words themselves, can hold the vessel to hold the spiritual light that the action of bringing the Omer would bring. And anybody who's been involved in any type of advanced spiritual learning knows that that's the nature of the Word. The Word is a vessel to hold the light. And therefore, when we speak the words of, we count the Omer, and we talk about and we speak out the verses that in the Torah that command to bring this offering, we access those powers of purification that are inherent in this barley offering. And so we can clarify and we can sift out our what the imagination. So because without sifting it, because all the distracting thoughts will come from that imagination. So when we purify, when we clarify our imagination, we're able to keep our thoughts on the purpose and the ultimate goal is of our relationship and interaction with the Creator, and that His will is that we do that within the realm of what's called kedusha, which we translate as holiness. So when a person has this clarification, so what we want to do is to guard at least that, to understand that, hey, when I had this purification, this clarification, and now I have the ability, if I just pay attention, to try to grab myself and keep myself in a pure thought and not let the distracting thoughts get me off my goal of awareness of Hashem, to pull me outside of those types of awarenesses. And so then the clarification of the imagination helps me stay aware that I want to stay aware that it's impossible to have more than one thought. So if I'm keeping my thought on my prayer and another thought tries to bump it out, all I have to do is remember to bump it back. Just focus on what I'm doing. I'm praying. If I'm using a siddur, if we're in the structured prayers, just keep focusing on saying those words, recognizing that I'm saying these words to Hashem, because at the very least I'm doing this to fulfill His will, and once I do that, once I'm praying to fulfill His will, then also I'm praying that my will should become the manifestation, the reflection, the pure reflection of His will. So so we said that the moach, the brain, is a vessel and has a certain measurement. What's that measurement? One thought. So then a person, by what you don't have, you think it's hard to, you think it's a big job. A person says, I have distracting thoughts, it's hard for me to stay focused. Right? So you don't have to worry about that. All you have to do is stay where you are, keep going, don't worry about the thoughts. You don't have to do anything about the thoughts. That's the aspect of sheva al taset. Sit there and don't do anything. Now it doesn't mean he's saying about the thoughts, but we're in the middle of praying. But as we talked about earlier, when we're in the middle of praying, just keep praying. That's you're still going. But the sheva al taset refers to you don't have to try to get rid of the thoughts. What you have to do is just refocus on what you want to be thinking of. And through this, you absolutely and certainly will push away all these negative thoughts. Then he says, brings in letters from Rebbe Nachman and all in the Trufa. He says there, Vasiman shel omer sarim al yavo midatcha. Rebbe Nachman is writing to, as usual, probably his eldest son, his second son Yitzchak, and that's most of his letters. And he says, he gives him encouragement, and he tells him and reminds him of Rebbe Nachman's teachings. So he says, this analogy of this mnemonic, this visual, the idea of this measurement of the Omer So'orim, the barley offering has a certain measurement. He says, don't ever forget this idea. Don't ever forget this idea. And so Rebbe Nachman also, he says, he goes on and tells Rebbe Nachman is, when he talks about this, he goes on and from this point and says, don't let this aspect, this idea of only one thought can be in your mind at one time. He says, therefore, he goes on, he says, and so he gives encouragement regarding hibodedut and having the conversation with Hashem. And that's the same idea, because you're going to see, if you haven't tried it, try it. If you've tried it, you know what I'm talking about. As soon as you try to make a commitment to have this relationship with your Creator of personal, intimate prayer, you'll see how everything tries to stop you. And as soon as, whether it stops you from actually making the appointment, whether it stops you from actually keeping the appointment you've made of sitting quietly waiting to talk to Hashem, or while you're trying to talk to Hashem, having the thoughts come in and everything in the world, all the thoughts try to pull you away from the point and the focus, which is having this conversation with Hashem. So he says this idea of that you don't have to push away these other thoughts, but just rather refocus on, oh, I'm wanting to have a talk with Hashem. Oh, Hashem, you're here right now. Oh, I'm talking to you. Oh, thank you, I'm talking to you. Wow, I am talking to you. And then even if that's the extent of how you do it, to refocus and say the words, I'm talking to Hashem, I'm talking to you, my Creator, I'm talking to you, I am talking to you. Keep saying that type of thing, focusing on what it is you're doing, you'll see that the interfering thoughts will soon fade away, and you'll be able to activate a true conversation, and it's a very special, beautiful experience. May we all be zocheh to such beautiful experiences with Hashem. The Ikar, and he says, writes there, Shelo lachshov harbe al ha'avar v'al haba. And he says the main thing also, he says, don't think too much about the past, and don't think too much about the future. Rak listakel al hatachlis ba'os ha'sha'a. Rather look at the point of what you're doing, the foundation. What is it? What is it called? Tachlis. What is the purpose of this moment? This moment, I'm here to say prayer. This moment, I'm here at this moment, and the velasos masha tuchal sheyatzliach lecha lenetzach. So this moment, what am I going to do with this moment that will give me success for eternity? Because every single word we say, this is amazing and beautiful. Every single word of Torah, every single word of prayer, whatever little bit. It says, whether you do a lot of it, whether you do a little bit. Every single word is precious and never gets lost. Every time you remember to say a word of holiness to Hashem, ding, 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 you've caught the ring. You're on the merry-go-round of life. And every single time you say a word of holiness, whether it's learning Torah, whether it's prayer, whether it's a conversation with your friend, whether it's a conversation with your Creator, you've grabbed the golden ring. You've scored another point. And it's an amazing thing, and it's a very great encouragement that to know, because we all most people get down. Most people get pulled down and feel this world is so heavy and so hard, and maybe Hashem doesn't love me, maybe I'm not good enough. So this is a very good encouragement that we all have to remind ourselves over and over until it's clear, until the Yetzer Hara can no longer pull us into any type of depression or any type of feeling less than anybody else. Because we're all totally beautiful before Hashem, each of us in our own unique combination of talents and flaws, of strengths and weaknesses. And so when you remember that every single word is an absolute precious thing, and every single word has effect in Shemayim, then we're encouraged. The only problem is the Yetzer Hara is going to come along and say, "Oh, that's way too easy." You mean every time you say a holy word, you're having eternal success? That seems way too easy. And that's what the Yetzer Hara does. So no, it really, Hashem's compassion and mercy upon us is so great that He made it that all He's asking for is words. That all He really wants us to do is spend our time praying. Are there actions? Yes. Are there mitzvahs? Yes. It does have to come down into what's called a koma shlema, that all of the things have to come down, the words have to eventually translate into some sort of action. But really, the main thing, what's really hard for most of us coming from the West to get used to, is that the main thing is the word. And the action is the manifestation of the word, but our physical actions are not nearly as important to Hashem as the words that go with them. So ideally, when we're doing everything, and this is why we say brachas, etc., that our physical action is always accompanied with words of holiness. And so he says that every single word is an aspect of success of nefesh, hatzlachat HaNefesh, hatzlacha nifla'a she'en la shiur, an amazing amount of success that is immeasurable. Can you imagine? Think of that. This is such an amazing thing. Every single word of holiness, you sit down, you take what we're doing right now. Every single word we're learning right now is an amazing, immeasurable aspect of success for the soul. And I feel really good about that. This is great. And then we need to remind ourselves of that, not let the world pull us down. It's so great that no human eye has ever seen how amazing, how great each word of holiness that we say is. And especially and especially in our time, we see that the Baal Davar, which is a name for the chief angel of the other side, also known as the Satan, that the Baal Davar, the forces of the other side, what's called the Sitra Achra, the other side, does his job. He doesn't stop. He doesn't take a vacation the other side, the Sitra Achra. He does his job, and especially in our time when things are so materialistic and we're so disconnected from truth in the world, and and nobody knows what's true anymore. May Hashem save us. Therefore, all the more so, we're obligated. We have to do something. What are you going to do to save yourself? What are you going to do? The world's crazy. You're going to go fight ISIS? You're going to go become president and take over, and you're going to go assassinate Obama, God forbid? Don't send the Shabbat. We're not talking seriously here. But what is an average person going to do to save himself in this mess? Well, it turns out that the average person can do a really great amount, and that is to say holy words. It's an amazing thing. And again, I can't say this often enough too many times, is that our Western upbringing is going to make us tend to think, and the powers that want to get us away from this great, powerful thing of saying words is going to get us to think, it's too easy to say words. It can't be that powerful. But no, that's what we have to understand. So we're obligated that the only way we're going to really overcome the powers of darkness in this world is to do our part, to say holy words. To speak words, to have conversation, to talk. If you can't talk, we've done it over a number of times. At least make the appointment to sit there and want words before Hashem. If you can't talk, at least groan. If you can't groan, then wish you could groan. If you can't do that, then make yourself write a sentence and read the sentence as you're making a silent scream. But do something. Don't let yourself be pushed away. If you can't do it, that's what your tibodidut is right there. You'd say, Hashem, listen, I'm coming to talk to you and I can't do it. That's wonderful tibodidut. You say, Hashem, I wish I wanted to talk to you, but I don't really want to. That's wonderful tibodidut. Telling Hashem the truth. Talking and doing this is our part. To make ourselves speak words, to speak over our lives to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to God, to make it, and to ask Him and beg Him to bring us close to His service. That's what we're here for. And by doing this, by not letting the foreign thoughts take hold, by pushing through, by doing what we're supposed to do, trying to say a few words, trying to make a few groans, making that appointment, showing up, putting the talus over your head so you're private with Hashem for a few minutes. By doing that, the person is going to draw upon himself an amazing illumination of the holiness of his absolute perfect good point that's never lost from any of us, no matter what we've fallen into, God forbid. Lekashra el libo b'kesher amitz v'chazak, to connect that good, absolutely pure, perfect, holy point to his heart, to the point where you actually feel the joy and the gratitude and the hope that is connected to this beautiful, perfect, good point that never changes. And through this you merit to get rid of all of the irritations from the heart, all of the hidden shame, toxic shame, all the hidden fallen fears, all the hidden fallen resentments, the hidden resentments and other things that are irritations that stop us from feeling the true joy and tasting the sweetness of each moment that Hashem wants us to taste. And that these charafot are these irritations, shehem hata'avot ra'ot v'ha'avot ra'ot. And what these irritations do is they make us want to soothe them through the urges, through food, through sex, through honor, through money, through all the different things, whatever creates the distraction that makes us feel temporarily, I feel a little bit better, I don't feel that nudging emptiness, that deep dark nothing that's going on. These irritations, what these called the karafot, these burnings in the heart, these burning feelings that make us want to put out the fire quench the fire with some physicality. That the hashavrim libosh ladam, they break the heart of the person. Like David Melech said, the irritation broke my heart. So we'll be zochet to be brought out from this and to have them resolved and to be able to experience the sweetness and the goodness of the relationship with Hashem to the point that Ken Yiratzon will find ourselves wanting to live our lives more and more and do it for the sake of being in relationship with Hashem, and we'll find ourselves automatically speaking more and more words, holy words, and staying focused and not letting the distracting thoughts overtake us, but rather keep us in the state of knowledge and personal redemption. Ken Yiratzon.